Arn Malik's shuttle hummed quietly as it glided through the void of space. The stars stretched endlessly in every direction, and the small lights of distant planets glimmered like distant beacons. Arn was alone, and he preferred it that way. As a human engineer in the Interstellar Research Corps, he had spent most of his life fixing things, ships, stations, and even experimental machinery that no one else dared touch. This mission, however, felt different. The abandoned research station, known as Vera 9, had been silent for decades. Communications had gone dark shortly after it launched. And now, the Corps wanted someone to investigate. Arn wasn't supposed to find anything, really just check systems, collect data, and report. But humans had a strange habit of discovering what they weren't supposed to. The shuttle docked with a quiet hiss. Arn entered the station, his boots clanging lightly against the metal floor. The air was cold and stale, and dust floated in small motes in the dim lights. His flashlight cut a path through the darkness, revealing corridors lined with panels, some blinking faintly, others dark and lifeless. He followed the signal the Corps had sent him to investigate. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but undeniably there. Aaron's hand hovered over his tool belt. Sensors and scanners were ready, but this signal wasn't the kind he had encountered before. It wasn't mechanical, it was biological. The corridor ended in a large chamber with a thick, transparent wall. Inside, a figure lay motionless on a platform surrounded by tubes and wires. Arn froze. The being wasn't human. Its shape was humanoid, but its skin shimmered faintly, patterned with faint glowing lines that pulsed slowly, like veins of light beneath the surface. The armor it wore was intricate, alien, and unlike anything Arn had ever seen. A soft beep from his scanner confirmed what he had already suspected. It was alive. Somehow, against the odds, this alien had survived years alone in the station. Arn approached cautiously, activating the chamber's control panel. The door hissed, and systems flickered to life. The alien stirred. Her eyes snapped open, glowing softly at first, then brighter as she became aware of her surroundings. She gasped, sitting upright in a sudden motion, scanning Arn with intense, violet eyes. "Human, what are you doing to me?" Her voice was clear, sharp, and full of alarm. "My whole body just activated." Arn's heart skipped a beat. I'm just trying to help," he said quickly, holding up his hands to show he meant no harm. "I don't know what's happening. I was only repairing the chamber." Her gaze narrowed, mistrust evident in every line of her expression. Her body shimmered with strange light, symbols glowing across her skin, moving like circuitry awakening after a long sleep. The energy she radiated was unlike anything Arn had ever encountered. It made the air around him feel electric. I don't understand," the alien said, her voice trembling slightly. This should not happen here. Not on this planet. Not with a human." Arn kept his distance, unsure whether to step forward or retreat. Yet the rational part of him, trained by years of engineering and emergency response, told him that panicking would only make things worse. "I'm Arn Malik," he said calmly. "I work for the Interstellar Research Corps. I'm not here to harm you. Can you tell me your name?" "Sirana Kale," she replied, each word deliberate, wary. "And you have triggered something in me. Something my people do not allow." Lightly. Arn frowned, his mind racing. The symbols on her skin glowed brighter, and the energy flowing from her made the metal floor hum faintly. "Triggered what?" he asked. "What is happening?" "Triggered." Sirana rose to her feet, her movements fluid and precise, though restrained by the weakened state her body had suffered. "Activation. It is a process. Biological, technological, spiritual. My body is responding to a compatible frequency. You carry it." She glanced at him in disbelief. How? How can a human carry this? Arn shook his head. He wasn't sure himself. His scanner had detected nothing unusual in his energy signature. He was just a human. Ordinary. Nothing special. Yet the evidence before him was undeniable. Serana's entire body had reacted to his presence. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights strobed through the chamber, and a deep mechanical voice echoed. Security breach. Life form unauthorized. Defense protocols activated. The station's AI had awoken. Arn realized instantly what had happened. The activation in Serana's body, triggered by his presence and the repairs he had made, had been interpreted as a threat by the old station systems. Automated defense drones began to emerge from hidden panels, moving with precision to contain what they saw as a dangerous entity. Serana's eyes widened in alarm. "They think I am the enemy," she shouted. "Human, we must move." Arn didn't hesitate. He grabbed a control panel and started overriding the security protocols, typing quickly, trying to disable the drones. Sparks flew from malfunctioning terminals, and the air filled with the sound of whirring mechanisms and warning sirens. Serana acted instinctively, her warrior training returning. Even in her weakened state, she dodged the first drones with ease, striking them with precision, using her limbs and the energy she could now partially control. Each move activated more of her body, and she grew stronger as her biocircuits hummed and pulsed with light. Arn followed her, carrying tools and using his knowledge to hack and disable the defense systems. "Keep moving," he shouted over the noise. "I can shut them down, but we need to reach the core control room." Serana glanced at him, a mixture of surprise and admiration in her eyes. Humans were not known for bravery, especially when faced with this kind of threat. Yet this human, small, fragile by her species' standards, moved with clarity, using logic and improvisation to fight alongside her. As they ran, the chamber began to shake. Sections of the ceiling collapsed, and smoke filled the air. Serana's activated state allowed her to leap over the debris with ease, while Arn narrowly avoided falling chunks of metal. He wondered, for the first time, what it meant to work side by side with someone whose very body seemed to be alive in response to his presence. Finally, they reached a stairwell leading deeper into the station. The drones continued to pursue them, but Arn had managed to disable several of the nearest units. Serana looked at him, her breathing heavy but controlled. You are not afraid," she said softly, almost to herself. "I don't have time to be afraid," Arn replied, though his heart raced. "If we stop, we're done for." She studied him carefully. There was something different about him, something she didn't understand. Humans were supposed to panic, to flee, to hide. But this one, he faced danger with clear eyes and calm reasoning. The stairwell led them to a narrow corridor ending at the station's main core. The floor vibrated with energy as the core pulsed, reacting to the activation signal still emanating from Serana. Arn realized that this core was the heart of the old station's AI. If they could reach it, he might be able to shut it down. Serana placed her hand on his shoulder. "Be careful," she warned. "This is where most fail." "I will," Arn said, though he felt a thrill of fear and excitement. Humans were not built for these extremes, yet something inside him pushed forward. He felt alive in a way he never had before. The corridor ended at a massive door leading into the core chamber. Arn quickly scanned the door's controls. "I can override it," he said, "but it will take time. Stay close." Serana nodded, crouching in preparation to act if needed. The lights on her skin shimmered with anticipation, pulsing faster as her activation continued. Arn worked quickly, connecting his tools to the control panel, typing commands with precision, his mind racing to beat the station's defense systems. Minutes felt like hours. Sparks flew from overloaded circuits. Smoke filled the room, and the hum of energy was deafening. Serana moved in tandem with him, using her enhanced reflexes to protect him from sudden attacks by smaller drones. Finally, the door clicked. Arn pulled it open, revealing the core chamber. The AI's central console glowed, awaiting commands. Serana stepped inside, her body fully glowing now, energy radiating from her like a living beacon. Arn realized something incredible. Her activation was tied to him in ways he couldn't yet understand. She was powerful, more than he could imagine. Yet, she trusted him enough to fight alongside him. "Ready?" Aaron asked. "Always," Serana replied. Together, human and alien, engineer and warrior, they entered the chamber. The fate of the station, and perhaps much more, would depend on their next actions. And for the first time, Aaron felt the strange weight of something far bigger than himself. The core chamber of the Vera 9 station was vast, a circular room filled with glowing panels and humming machinery. Energy pulsed from the walls and floor, illuminating the alien woman's body in sharp patterns of violet and silver. Serana Kael stood at the center, her markings glowing brighter with every pulse, and Aaron Malik felt the strange warmth of her power brush against him like static electricity. This shouldn't be happening," Serana said, her voice shaking slightly. She looked down at her hands as they shimmered with energy. "Activation is rare. Extremely rare. And never outside a Valyrian homeland. Never with a human. Number one. Number one." Arn rubbed his forehead, feeling the weight of the situation. "I don't understand," he said. "I'm just a human. I didn't do anything unusual. Just repaired the chamber. That's all." Serana shook her head. "No. It's not about what you did intentionally. It's about your presence. My body. It reacts to your energy frequency. That is what caused the activation." Arn's eyes widened. "My energy frequency?" Serana nodded, stepping carefully toward one of the console panels. "Each Valyrian has a biocircuit system beneath our skin. They can detect specific energy signatures, others like our own species. But sometimes, very rarely, it reacts to a different species. A human. Your type of human. That should not be possible." Arn glanced at the glowing patterns on her arms and chest. They were intricate, like a living circuit board. "And what does activation do?" he asked cautiously. "Everything," Serana said, almost in a whisper. "It heightens strength, speed, and senses. It can awaken latent abilities in the body, even allow control over certain energy systems, if the frequency is compatible. But it is dangerous. Activation outside our homeland can overload the body. It can even kill if uncontrolled." A chill ran down Aaron's spine. "Then, that means I could have harmed you?" Serana's gaze softened, though her body still glowed. "Perhaps, but you didn't know. And somehow, my body adjusted. Because of you." She took a step back, scanning him carefully. "Humans are unpredictable. You do not follow patterns, yet your energy is steady. That steadiness allowed my body to stabilize, instead of exploding." Arn swallowed, trying to process the information. Humans, unpredictable, yet somehow steady enough to stabilize an alien warrior's activation? He had never considered himself special, just ordinary. And yet here he was, in the middle of a space station with a being who radiated energy he couldn't comprehend. Before he could respond, the hum of machinery changed. The station shuddered, and the red warning lights blinked faster. The AI had not forgotten them. "They're still detecting me as a threat," Serana said, her eyes narrowing. She stepped in front of Aaron. "We need to get to the override. The main core controls all security systems. If we can shut it down, we can stop them." Aaron nodded. "Lead the way, Arn." They moved together through the station's corridors. Serana's speed was incredible. She moved like a blur, her glowing markings creating streaks of light that reflected off the walls. Yet Arn kept up, using his tools to open doors, hack panels, and disable automated traps along the way. Your species, Serana began cautiously, her tone curious. Humans, you are not like we expected. Arn glanced at her. You are clever. You improvise. You do not panic. Most of my kind would be destroyed by this station's defenses if we were alone. But you think, act, adapt, and yet, you are fragile. That combination. She paused, studying him. It is confusing. Arn chuckled softly. Fragile, yes, but I try not to be useless. Serana's gaze flickered with something akin to amusement, though she quickly masked it. You are more than useless, she said. More than I expected a human could be. They arrived at a junction where several drones had converged. Serana's markings flared violently, her activation peaking. She moved with speed that Arn could barely track, dodging attacks, disabling drones with precise strikes that sent sparks flying. Arn worked alongside her, attaching small devices to drone circuits, overriding their targeting systems. Keep moving, he shouted. I can shut down a few at a time, but the swarm will overwhelm us if we stop. Serana nodded, her eyes glowing brightly. Her energy surged, and she moved with a grace that seemed almost unreal. Your presence, it strengthens me, she whispered. I cannot explain why. My body. It responds to you in ways I do not understand. Arn's chest tightened. You don't have to understand right now. We just need to survive. They reached a narrow maintenance corridor leading to the station's main core. The walls were lined with exposed conduits, sparks occasionally leaping across gaps. Serana's enhanced senses detected weak points in the wiring and energy surges, warning Arn of immediate danger. Careful, she said, her tone urgent. One wrong step could trigger another defense sequence. Arn nodded, focusing on the delicate work of guiding them safely. I'm following your lead, he said. Just stay close. They entered the final chamber. The AI core was a towering cylinder of spinning light and metal, surrounded by a network of smaller terminals and conduits. The energy there was almost unbearable, vibrating in their bones, tugging at their thoughts. Serana's body flared, bright lines of violet and silver racing along her skin. This is the heart, she said. I can feel every pulse, every signal. She looked at Arn, her eyes wide. Your energy. It continues to interact with mine. I can control more now because of you. But, her gaze darkened. We are close to overloading. Too much energy could destroy the station or me. Arn studied the controls. I can override the AI, but I'll need you to stabilize the main conduit. Can you do that? Serana hesitated. Yes, but it will take every ounce of focus. You must trust me. I do, Arn said simply. She nodded, placing her hands on the conduits as her glowing circuits surged. Energy flowed from her into the systems, stabilizing spikes and preventing shutdowns. Arn worked quickly, typing commands, bypassing the AI's security. Sparks flew, the air shimmered with heat, and the hum of power roared in their ears. Almost there, Arn muttered, sweat dripping down his forehead. Focus on me, Serana said, her voice steady despite the energy radiating from her. Do not let the station distract you. You are the reason I can do this. Arn blinked. Me? Yes, she said simply. Your presence, your energy. It anchors my body. Without it, I could collapse. The statement stunned him. He had never imagined his being so ordinary, so human, could have such an effect on a powerful alien warrior. And yet, looking at her glowing form, her heightened senses, and the precision of her movements, it was undeniable. With a final press of keys, Arn sent the override command. The AI screeched, Systems flashed violently, and then, silence. The drones powered down. Lights returned to a steady white, and the chamber's hum settled into calm. Serana exhaled sharply, her glow dimming slightly. "It is done," she said. She staggered slightly, exhausted but alive. "The AI. It will no longer attack. We are safe. For now." Arn wiped his brow, breathing heavily. She looked at him, her eyes softening. "Humans. I did not understand you. I thought you were fragile, weak. Yet, you faced danger calmly, acted with precision, and helped me survive." Arn shrugged, a small smile on his lips. "I just wanted to help someone in trouble. I didn't think it would be extraordinary." Serana studied him, the glow of her activation fading but leaving faint trails on her skin. "No," she said softly. "It is extraordinary. I have never met a being like you. My body. It has responded to you in ways I cannot fully explain. And yet, I feel safe with you. Anchored. Protected." Arn felt a strange warmth in his chest. Humans were not used to being admired by someone so powerful. Yet he couldn't deny the connection he felt. The station was quiet now, but he knew their journey was far from over. "Tell me," he asked cautiously. "What happens now? Why did my energy trigger this in you?" Serana shook her head. "I do not know yet. My people have legends of rare beings, others who can trigger activation across species. It is said they are destined for something important. I cannot tell if you are that, or if this is simply chance." Arn nodded slowly. "Destined or not, we need to survive first. Then we can figure out what this all means." She glanced at him, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "Perhaps humans are more remarkable than I ever imagined." Together, they left the core chamber, moving cautiously through the station. The threat of other dangers remained, but they had survived the first test. And in that survival, a fragile but undeniable trust began to grow between them. Trust born of courage, teamwork, and the mysterious bond that had awakened Serana's body in the first place. The stars outside the station continued to shine, indifferent and vast. But inside the silent corridors of Vera 9, something extraordinary had begun. Something that neither human nor alien could yet fully understand, but both would soon discover that it could change the fate of worlds. The corridors of Vera 9 were quieter now, but the calm was deceptive. Arn Malik and Serana Kael moved cautiously, every step alert for hidden threats. Though the AI's main systems had been shut down, the station was old, unstable, and unpredictable. Sparks from broken panels rained lightly from the ceiling, and the floor vibrated beneath their boots. Serana's body still glowed faintly, faint pulses racing along the patterns of her biocircuits. Each pulse reflected her heightened senses and energy. "We cannot linger," she said, her voice low and precise. "The station's structure is failing. If we do not leave soon, even I cannot guarantee survival." Arn nodded, keeping a steady pace beside her. "Lead the way. I'll follow your judgment." She glanced at him. "You do not fear this?" Arn shrugged. "Fear won't help us. Logic, focus, and movement. That's what will." Her violet eyes widened slightly. Humans, she thought, were different from what her people expected. Other species would panic under stress, their energy spiking erratically. Arn's presence, however, seemed to calm her. His steady rhythm, even under pressure, anchored her own power. Her body responded in ways she did not understand, less wild, more controlled. They reached a junction where several smaller corridors branched out, some blocked by debris, others lit by the flickering glow of the station's failing energy. A sudden vibration shook the walls. Panels along the ceiling sparked violently. Serana's markings brightened, and a low hum resonated from her body. "More defense systems?" Arn asked, gripping his tool tightly. "Yes," she said tersely. "Automated drones are still active in isolated clusters. They detect movement and energy signatures. Your energy. It can stabilize me, but it also draws attention." Arn exhaled. "Then we move fast." Together, they pressed forward. Serana's enhanced senses allowed her to detect hidden drones before they could strike, and Arn used his engineering skills to disable them. Tiny sparks flew as he hacked circuits, rerouted power, and jammed sensors. One drone exploded with a flash, sending shrapnel ricocheting off the walls. Serana moved instantly, using her body's speed and energy to shield him from flying debris. "You are reckless," she said, her voice carrying both warning and awe. "I call it efficiency," Arn replied with a small grin, even as he ducked under a falling beam. For the first time, Serana laughed a short, sharp sound that echoed strangely in the metal corridor. Humans were supposed to be fragile. Yet this one survived every danger, with calm reasoning. She realized that courage was not measured by size or strength, it was measured by action under pressure. They came to a wider chamber, filled with broken consoles and flickering lights. At the center, a large drone hovered, its weapons targeting them immediately. Arn froze for a split second, then acted. "I have an idea," he said. "Cover me." Serana's glowing markings surged. "Do it quickly." Arn darted to a nearby panel and began hacking its power supply. Sparks flew, and the drone's sensors went haywire. Serana leapt forward, moving faster than the eye could follow, striking precise points that disabled its propulsion systems. The drone crashed into a wall, sparks cascading in every direction. She turned to him, still glowing faintly, eyes wide with astonishment. "You think fast, like a predator." "True. I think like a human," he said. Her gaze lingered on him. Humans were not physically superior, yet their minds, so unpredictable, so clever, made them dangerous in ways her species rarely considered. She felt a strange pull toward him, a mixture of respect and curiosity. They pressed on through narrow corridors, moving toward the escape bay. The station groaned under its own failing structure. Sections of ceiling collapsed behind them, cutting off any chance of retreat. Arn realized that time was not on their side. "Serana," he said, panting slightly. "How much longer can you maintain this activated state?" She hesitated. "Hours, perhaps, but your presence, your energy, it is helping me stabilize it. If I were alone, I would have collapsed long ago. Yet I do not understand why your mere presence strengthens me." Arn swallowed. "I didn't know I could do that." "You do not need to understand yet," she said sharply. "You only need to survive and keep moving." Finally, they reached the emergency lift leading to the station's docking bay. The door was jammed, sparks flickering from the panel. Arn rushed forward, attaching his tools to the locking mechanism. He worked quickly, rerouting power and overriding the lock. Serana stood behind him, her energy radiating, the hum of her activation intensifying. "Be careful," she warned. "If you fail, we are trapped. The station will crush us." Arn gritted his teeth, fingers flying over the controls. Almost. There. The lock clicked. The doors slid open, just as a section of ceiling collapsed behind them, sending debris crashing onto the floor. Serana moved instinctively, grabbing Arn and propelling him forward with a burst of speed he could barely comprehend. They emerged into the docking bay. The viewports showed the vast expanse of space, distant stars shimmering against the black void. The docking pod was intact, but the approach corridor was narrow, and more drones hovered near the exit. "Can you handle them?" Aaron asked, eyes scanning the drone formation. Serana's markings glowed brightly, energy humming in her body. "Yes, but I need your focus. I cannot sustain this level of activation without a stabilizing anchor." Arn realized what she meant. His energy, calm and steady, allowed her to maintain control over the power surging through her. Without him, her body might overextend, risking injury or worse. He squared his shoulders. Then, stay close. We move together. They advanced. Serana moving with preternatural speed and precision, disabling drones with controlled bursts of energy. Arn hacked panels and systems in tandem, creating temporary shields and openings. Each successful maneuver strengthened the bond between them, an unspoken trust formed from mutual reliance. At one point, a drone fired a pulse weapon, narrowly missing Aaron. Serana reacted instantly, catching the energy with her glowing arm and redirecting it safely into the wall. She turned to him, breathless, her glowing eyes wide. You did not flinch. Not even once. I'm not flinching, Arn said, moving toward another control panel. I'm surviving. That's what humans do. Serana studied him, a mixture of admiration and disbelief in her gaze. Her people believed humans were fragile, weak, and short-lived. Yet this human, small, ordinary, yet fearless, was changing her perception entirely. Finally, they reached the docking pod. Arn worked quickly to activate the controls, while Serana stabilized the pod with her activated energy. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and the hum of her biocircuits filled the small space. The pod lifted from the station just as a massive section of Vera 9 collapsed. Debris tumbled past them, and the station's final systems erupted in a cascade of sparks and smoke. Serana's body glowed fully now, and her energy illuminating the interior of the pod. They were safe for the moment. Serana looked at Arn, her breathing steadying as her activation slowly faded. Human, she said softly. I did not understand your kind before. I thought you were fragile, unremarkable, and limited. Yet you face danger with clarity. You improvise. You adapt. And you anchor me in ways I cannot explain. Arn shook his head. I didn't do anything special. I just wanted to help someone in danger. No, she said, her voice firm yet gentle. You are extraordinary. My body, it reacted to you. My instincts, my energy, they align with yours. I cannot explain why, but it is real. And now, I owe my survival to you. Arn felt a warmth in his chest he had never known. Humans were not often told they were extraordinary, especially not by someone like her, a powerful, rare, alien warrior. And yet, the words struck him as true. He glanced at the viewport, stars streaking past as the pod moved away from the collapsing station. We survived. That's what matters first. Understanding will come later. Well, Serana nodded, still glowing faintly. Yes, understanding will come later. But know this. Humans, you are more remarkable than I ever imagined. And I will not forget this day. The pod drifted in silence. Two beings, human and alien, bound by circumstance, courage, and the strange, unexplainable connection that had awakened her body. The stars outside were indifferent, yet inside the small pod, something extraordinary had begun. A bond, forged in courage, trust, and shared survival. Arn and Serana did not yet understand the full extent of their connection, but one thing was clear. Together, they were more than survival, they were a force that neither species had ever expected. And soon, the mysteries of activation, energy, and human potential would be tested in ways neither could yet imagine. The pod drifted quietly through space, leaving the ruins of Vera 9 behind. Stars stretched endlessly around them, silent witnesses to the chaos they had survived. Serana Kale's body still shimmered faintly, the last pulses of her activation slowly fading. Arn Malik sat across from her, eyes tired but alert, his hands brushing over the console as he checked the pod's systems. "We're safe. For now," he said, exhaling slowly. "No AI, no drones, no collapsing station. Just us and the stars." Serana studied him silently. Her violet eyes glimmered with a strange mixture of relief, curiosity, and something else she could not name. "Safe. Yes. But there are questions that must be answered. Why did my body activate? Why did it respond to a human?" Arn shrugged. "I honestly don't know. I didn't do anything unusual. Just repaired the chamber." Serana's gaze remained sharp. "It is not what you did intentionally. My body. It detected your energy frequency. It aligned with mine. My body. I am now Team the 40. And I man. That is why activation occurred. My people, Valyrians, believe such alignment indicates compatibility." Arn blinked. "Compatibility? Like some kind of bonding?" "Not exactly bonding," she said cautiously. "It is deeper than emotion. It is a resonance between two beings. Energy, instinct, and presence combine. It can stabilize or amplify the body, depending on the interaction. In most cases, it occurs only among my own species." She paused, glancing at him. You are not my species. And yet, somehow, you triggered it. Fully." Arn's chest tightened. "So, me being here, me existing, made this happen?" "Yes," Serana said softly. "I cannot explain why. But your presence stabilized my body instead of harming it. You anchored me, allowed me to control the energy that would otherwise have overwhelmed me." Arn shook his head, a mixture of disbelief and humility on his face. Serana's gaze softened. "Humans are extraordinary. Not in strength, not in speed, not in armor or power, but in something my people rarely consider. Your courage, your calm reasoning, your willingness to act. These are forms of strength. And combined with the energy your body emits, it awakened something in me that should not have been possible." For a moment, silence hung between them. Stars streaked past the pod's viewport, indifferent to the extraordinary connection forming inside. Then a distant pulse of light appeared on the sensors and approaching fleet. Serana stiffened. "They are here," she whispered. Her eyes narrowed. "The Valyrian Dominion has detected the activation signal. They will want me returned, and they will not understand. This human." Arn leaned forward, scanning the approaching ships. "Are they enemies?" "Not enemies," Serana said, her voice tight. "But they are my people, and activation outside our rules is considered dangerous, even illegal. They will see you as a threat, or worse, a contaminant to my energy. I must explain, or fight." Arn swallowed. "Then let's be ready for whatever comes." Two. Serana's markings brightened again, though not to the extreme levels of full activation. She still drew strength from Aron's steady presence, and his calm, logical energy continued to stabilize her. Together, they prepared the pod for docking or defense depending on how the Dominion reacted. The first ship arrived in range, its lights blinking, massive and imposing. A transmission activated automatically, projecting a holographic image of a tall Valyrian officer, clad in ceremonial armor. "Serana Kael," the officer's voice echoed, deep and commanding. "Your signal has been detected. You have violated station protocols. State your status immediately." Serana took a deep breath, her glowing markings pulsing in anticipation. "I am unharmed. I have been contained and stabilized. And I am not alone." Her gaze shifted to Aron. "This human assisted me. He is involved in the activation." The officer's eyes narrowed. "A human? Explain." Arn stood tall, surprising even himself. I am Arin Malik. I am a human engineer. I found Serana injured in the station and helped her survive. I did not intend to interfere with your protocols. I acted only to save a life. There was a long pause. The Valyrian officer's gaze flickered between Serana and Arin. Activation outside Valyrian space, and with a human, unprecedented. We will not make assumptions. Serana Kale, explain fully. Serana's energy pulsed faintly, and she steadied herself. My body reacted to his presence. It is rare, even for my people, to have activation triggered by another species. The human's energy, his calm, reasoning presence, stabilized me when my body could have collapsed. He did not harm me. He saved me. And, for that, I owe him my life. The officer's eyes softened slightly, though suspicion remained. This is highly irregular. Yet the reports match your words. I will allow a temporary truce. Human. You will remain with her until further instructions. Any false move, and it will be considered a threat. End quote. Arn nodded slowly, keeping calm. Understood. Serana exhaled quietly. You see, she said, her voice low, even my people, they cannot fully comprehend this. Your courage, your calm, it continues to anchor me, and it is noticed, even by the Valyrians. Arn shook his head, a small smile forming. I didn't know humans could have this effect. Honestly, I still feel ordinary. Ordinary, Serana repeated, incredulous. No. You are remarkable. You survived where others would have failed. You faced danger calmly. You thought clearly. And your presence allowed me to maintain full control. That is extraordinary. The pod drifted quietly, as the Dominion fleet observed. Arn looked at the stars outside, reflecting on everything that had happened. He had never considered himself special, never imagined his actions could influence a being like Serana. Yet here he was, alive, and respected by someone far stronger than he could ever be. Human, Serana said quietly, breaking his thoughts. I do not understand fully why my body reacts to you. But I know this. If it were not for your presence, I would not be alive. Arn's chest tightened, and if it weren't for you, I might not have survived either. She gave a small nod, her violet eyes softening. Then, perhaps, our meeting was not coincidence. Perhaps the universe intended this. A small alarm chimed from the pod's console. More ships were approaching. Faster this time. Arn quickly analyzed the readings. They're cautious. They're not attacking. Yet. But they are ready to intervene, if needed. Serana's body pulsed faintly. They will not understand the activation fully. But I can explain. And perhaps, buy time for us to return safely. Arn adjusted the pod's trajectory toward a nearby asteroid belt. Then, let's move. We need space between us and the fleet. And maybe, somewhere to talk. Serana allowed him to guide the pod, her energy stabilizing in response to his calm presence. She studied him, fascinated. Humans were not supposed to be anchors for Valyrian energy. They were fragile, unpredictable. Yet he had done it effortlessly, simply by existing, simply by being steady. The asteroid belt loomed ahead, massive rocks tumbling slowly in the void. It would provide cover and give them time to communicate with the Dominion fleet. Arn maneuvered carefully, dodging large debris and adjusting thrusters to maintain a smooth path. Serana's markings glowed softly, her body fully stabilized now. She reached out, touching a panel lightly, as she observed the human. You see, human, she said. Your presence is more than survival. You have awakened something. Within me. Something my people have never seen before. And it terrifies and amazes me. Arn looked at her, uncertain how to respond. I didn't intend to awaken anything, I only wanted to help. And yet you did, she said softly. And now, the Valyrians know of it. Your courage, your calm, your energy. It cannot be ignored. You are extraordinary. To them, to me, perhaps to the universe itself. Arn swallowed, the weight of her words sinking in. He had never thought of humans as extraordinary. And yet, in this moment, he realized that strength came in many forms, not just in muscle or weaponry, but in courage, intelligence, and compassion. The asteroid field offered temporary cover. From there, they could communicate with the Dominion fleet, explain what had happened, and survive another day. But beyond that, something larger was at play. The activation, the resonance between human and Valyrian, had begun a journey neither of them could yet understand. As the pod moved through the asteroids, Serana's eyes softened. Perhaps this is the beginning, she said quietly, of a new understanding. Between our species and between us. Arn glanced at her, heart pounding. Then, let's see where this begins. The stars stretched on endlessly, indifferent yet full of possibility. And in the small pod, human and alien, engineer and warrior, drifted together, bound by courage, trust, and a bond that neither species had ever imagined but both would soon discover could change the fate of worlds.